everybody. Hello,
Hello.
hello. Sophia.
Hello.
Shana K, it has been a minute caliente since I have seen you. Shana just flew out and disappeared. But that's a small thing. We're happy to see you too. Luther, happy to see you, my brother man. We missed some of those intense Sabbath conversations in that famous restaurant, questioning everything and every other thing, and we like it a lot. Alanson, we miss your playing, adding to our band. Since then, we've expanded our band, and we think you'd have fit right in. In that experience. So whenever you're in the country, pass
Must
through.
be nice. Yeah, I definitely will.
Pass through. All right, and well, Ronnie, you was here last year. So it's like, you gonna fly back in the country soon anyway, right? So you look forward to connecting with you some other time. So our first question, so we want you to, now I know your names, but those watching may not know your names. So just what we're experiencing now, this is our alumni night, and this is part of Good News 30th anniversary celebration. Now, my estimate is you guys may have been in and around with us sometime in that 30th year, and we wanted to take some time to reconnect with you. Because you're students, you have unique stories as to what Good News meant or would have meant or still mean to you, and we just want to hear about those stories. So to kick us off, my first question is for you just to introduce yourself. Tell us what's your name, and when did you spend time in Trinidad, and what you up to now? What's the 411 with you right now? All right, like right at this present moment, what you doing right now, or any other thing you want to share. So I'm seeing on my screen from left to right Luther. He seems like he's eager and ready to go. So we'll jump with Luther one time. Why not?
Hey. All right, my name is Luther Jean-Baptiste. I attended Good News Chapel from 2015 to 2019.
Okay.
I was studying electrical and computer engineering, and currently, well, since I've left, I've been teaching for the last 5 years.
Okay.
At my alma mater in St. Lucia.
Okay, sounds
Yes.
good. Luther, the teacher.
Secondary school.
Must be a fun class to be in. Must be a fun set of classes to be in. Yeah. I guess we'll reach out to the students and get their reviews as to kind of teacher Luther is. All right, Shana.
All right, so I'm Shana K. Mink, formerly Spencer.
That's the one we know.
And yeah, yeah, and I was at Good News from 2012 to 2019, so it was a good stretch. Studied. I was completing a completed a PhD in chemistry, and presently I'm working as a program officer for a research council here, supporting natural sciences and engineering research. So that's in a nutshell what I do.
All right, right. By here you mean Jamaica, right?
Sorry?
By here you mean Jamaica?
No, in Canada, I'm sorry.
I see.
My
It could mean many
apologies.
places.
My apologies.
All right, thank you. So, Canada, Maple Leaf. All right. Lanson.
All right, yeah, Vince in the house. I was at Good News from 2010 to 2013, March 2013. At the time, I was doing an MPhil in Urban and Regional Planning, Master of Philosophy. I suppose I could say that I was also a musician at Good News at that time.
You could say it because it's true. You could say it because it's true.
And I also am a past president of Advent Fellowship, as I suppose is Shana K as well. Since then, well, that's a long time ago. Not like Ronnie's just last year, but I can't believe it's 11 years ago since I left. So since then, I mean, I'm married now. Been married for 10 years. I have a son, he's 3 years old. I was teaching, I was doing lecturing at the local community college here. But now I am an environmental consultant. And I also, since then, I also have just completed my PhD as well.
All right, nice. Doctors. All right, very nice, very nice.
No, it's fine, Alan, it's fine.
All right, Ronald McDonald, as I like to call you. Jump in.
Yes, well, my name is Ronnie Richardson, not McDonald, as I'm affectionately called by you, Rick One. When I'm listening to the years that Shanna Kay and Alanston and Luther has been at Good News, and I have had the shortest stint ever of the four of us, and I was there, just on the heels of the pandemic, I should say. So I came to Trinidad in August of 2022, and I only did 1 year face-to-face for my degree, and I left in May 2023. I did a double major in history and communication studies, and I am lecturing at the local community college here. I lecture Caribbean Studies, Caribbean Society, and Introduction to Sociology.
All right. So everybody seems to be in the educational field. That's a interesting random circumstance. Look at what are the odds? What are the odds of choosing 4 people and all? That's kind of cool. All right, that's kind of cool that you have decided to give back to others the knowledge that you would have gained. So my next question, I'll jump back to Ronnie. We'll go reverse order. Just talking about that first time you arrived. No, different people arrived at different points in Trinidad history, Good News history. So Ronnie, what's your first impression of Trinidad? We know Trinidad has a reputation across the Caribbean for being such a safe environment. So what was your first impression about Trinidad, and then first impressions about Good News when you encountered it?
All right. Well, before I came to Trinidad, one of my colleagues had just returned. One of my colleagues at the secondary school I was teaching at. I think you should know her, Afisha Adams Clark. She had just returned. Possible. Yeah, she and her husband, Eric Clark. They.
Yes.
So we were colleagues at the same school. And when she came back, she was telling me, Ronnie, you should go to Trinidad, you should this. And she gave me this whole glorious, story about her time in Trinidad and so on and so forth. So, I was expecting that, in spite of the fact that, as you rightly said, not say rightly, correctly said. As you correctly said, the reputation of Trinidad, outside of Trinidad, so I've been hearing stories about crimes and so on and so forth, and it's not the safest place, and you should be careful of this and be careful of that, but I came with an open mind, but I was prepped. When I go to Trinidad, don't behave as though I'm a tourist in Trinidad. Try your best to fit in as quickly as you can. So I did that, and my experience in Trinidad outside of Good News was remarkable. When I just landed in Trinidad, it was like, wow, this place is so big. And the roads and everything like that, the road network, everything was just so mind blowing for me. When I got to Good News, I did not experience the glow and the so on that everybody was talking about, because I was just coming, like I said, I'm in the in the heels of COVID. So not so many persons were coming to face-to-face church. When you go to church, persons were there in mask. So there was no set of, let me invite you home for lunch and, all them kind of story. But things changed very quickly. Things changed very quickly, and I soon felt as though I was at home, singing in praise team, getting the opportunity to lead the praise team on several occasions and so on and so forth, and singing with Andrew and the team. That made me feel as though I was at home, and I felt like I was just going to an upgrade version of the Barely Seventh Adventist Church, which is my local church.
All right. I wonder what they think about that, but hopefully they don't see this one. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
All right, Alanson.
I know people from Barely, so. All right. Yeah. Well, for me, I didn't come to Trinidad to study in 2010. As somebody who has never been there or somebody who hadn't been there for some time before. So I have relatives there. So I was quite familiar with Trinidad, even though it was my first time coming there to study for an lengthy period of time. So in 2010, when I got there, you spoke about safety, but I was just coming from Jamaica, so
yeah.
I just did undergrad in Jamaica. So, I mean, I can't say that I felt unsafe at any point in Trinidad, though. I mean, there are times I walked home very late at night for no really good reason, except that I didn't want to call a taxi and pay one and just walk home. And we were like, well, when we go home in Simmons, we walk further than that, so I would just walk home and done. I did the same thing in Jamaica too, by the way. Not that I'll do it now.
I won't
yes,
recommend.
As you get older now, you're more aware of your mortality as you get older. Anyway, so it was an interesting experience. I mean, good news for me. It was mainly about music, but of course, I also participated in leadership roles. I mean, as I said before, because I was president of Advent Fellowship, from time to time we were on the nominating committees and so on and things like that, and preached, taught class, Sabbath school classes, and did a lot of different things as if it was in my home church. So we were not shy of taking part. As soon as I got there, the very first Sabbath, Kristen was there as the music director, Kristen Williams, who also is from Simpson. And by the way, is also my former classmate from secondary school. So that, okay, well, you're here now, you have to play. So the first Sabbath, I was there and I was playing, and basically that was it from there on. And if there was a Sabbath that I didn't want to play, I actually had to go to a different church, because once I was at Good News, then it was automatic that I was going to play some music. So there was a lot of musical memories there. On the praise team at that time, you had persons like Leighton, Maurice, and oh my goodness, I'm getting old. I can't remember names now.
Crystal, remember Crystal?
Crystal for sure. Yeah, Crystal for sure, and your sister, Renelle. Yeah. So these were the persons who were on the praise team at that time.
Veterans, as a veteran team right there. No?
Yeah. So that was basically my experience in a nutshell. I mean, we went all over Trinidad. I mean, I went all over Trinidad for various reasons. For music, for one, yes, but I mean, Advent Fellowship toured as well. We went to Tobago a few times as well. So, I mean, we did have that holistic experience. We were all over the place, as I would say. That's how I put it.
All right. Dr. Ming, Shanna?
If I may just go in reverse order, because a lot of what I would have said about Trinidad is based on Alanson's response. Being a part of Advent Fellowship, that is very much intertwined with Good News Chapel. I experienced a fellowship and the support from the church, and that helped us as well, and helped me as well to be more involved. I also, my first impression of Good News was, you could say, I had not been to a church before that there was the population of youth, or the percentage of youth was so much greater than the older ones, because I think maybe 70 to 80% of the membership was like sub 40 years old. So it was a very young church, but very vibrant as well. And I think my first Sabbath is where we had gone out on some trip out of St. Augustine somewhere, and the bus broke down. But it was an adventure. And after some time, I recognized that Good News Chapel is a student church because it feeds the students. And I really appreciated that, Sister Vero and the team, man. Right? So that was very big for me. And that was one of the ways that we got to know members more, and we got to chill and just vibe as students. So even if your week was horrible, you could look forward to a nice little meal, and you could talk to people. So that's like first impression. And then as things went along, you could experience the warmth more and more. And what did I know about Trinidad? Well, I did not know a lot about Trinidad. I thought there was no crime, and there was no like major crime and violence. I was blown away
that's a great
when
impression.
I heard the news, because I don't know, maybe it's just Jamaican news get scattered all across the Caribbean. But in Jamaica, like, I had no idea that Trinidad had a crime and violence issue. Just saying. But I fell in love with Tobago. I love Trinidad, but Tobago has my heart. I've family there, adopted family and stuff. So Trinidad and Tobago, particularly Tobago, is very, 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 very special to me. Yeah.
All right.
Shana, whose bus broke down? Was it Elder Nichols? Elder Nicholas bus?
I don't want to call it a name, but I can't remember. I don't want to.
Big up Sister Nicholas one time. Sister Yolan, I love you.
Luther.
Oh, well, I knew about Trinidad because I think both of my parents had studied there before.
Okay.
But my first encounter with one of my first encounters there was a very scary one. I had just gotten a SIM card, and you know how they take your numbers very quickly, and it just happened to be the number of a stolen phone. And somebody called me and told me, yeah, they're tracking the call and they're going to find me. Needless to say, I got rid of that SIM card, but I was literally scared. I remember my first experience at Good News was I came on one South morning, and I went to the front, and nobody was playing bass because I came really early, and I just asked, "Can I play the bass?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure." Kristen was there at the time. He said, "Yeah," and then after that, I started playing guitar for like the 4 years that I was there. So it was very nice to see that there was not much red tape or any questions asked. It's like, you can play, well, fine, just come write it. That was one of the more refreshing things about being there. Really, I wish I had been a little bit more involved in certain things. I did lead an AY once. What's her name? Your sister,
Renelle?
Renelle. Renelle had to force me to do it, but I did it anyway. It came out all right. And
was this one of the island tours or something? With
it
Sanisha?
was all right. The only regret I had was that I was so focused on what I'd come to do in Trinidad that I didn't really enjoy it as much as I should have. I didn't go to Tobago. I was just always working. But yeah, I did take time when we went visiting the hospital. We went on a few trips. I had some nice, interesting spiritual experiences there. Like, you pray for people, and it was a good experience. Like, from the time I came to Good News to the time I left, I just wish I had probably contributed a little bit more than I did. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think you contributed a lot. I remember that famous Luther run AY. It was a fun time. Most things Luther is involved in a fun time. He doesn't know it, but I enjoy the things Luther does. So the next question is, and this is not necessarily negative, but during your time at Good News, what did you see or observe may have been areas or points that we as a church could have grown or done better at, or at least consider thinking about? I feel Luther has some at the tip of his tongue, because I know I heard some in that restaurant at the side of church a few Sabbaths. So we will jump with Luther, and then we'll go Ronnie, Shana, and Alanson.
Over the last few years, I've become more guarded, and I there's a lot of things that I learned about not just Good News, but about Adventism itself. Yeah, in my experience, like in Trinidad, the one thing that when I was there, I don't know if it has changed. It felt like it was a little cliquey, especially the praise team. It felt like it was a more elite group that was separated from the rest of the congregation at times. Okay. Just felt like that. I remember complaining. I remember complaining to Kristen about it once. Yeah, okay. That's the only thing. But that's just human nature. Nothing to do with the church itself. Just, when you're in a position where you are very visible and very out there, that's just what happens naturally, I guess. But perhaps as welcoming as that community was, there was sometimes I felt like there were certain divisions between different classes of people, and that's what happens when you have a large groups of people. It happens.
Yeah.
But we hope not to have that in the body of Christ.
Okay.
It's just something.
No,
Yeah,
thanks.
that I
That's good.
noticed.
All these things help us to become better at what we do, because sometimes we sometimes ignore that there could be things we're doing wrong or not applying it as well as we. So we love to hear that from these outside student perspective. What are areas we feel like we could improve? Now, this is a strange way of asking. Usually we start with what the positives and then we say, but I'll start off with areas we could improve, and then we'll jump into making us feel good. Oh, you all were so great with this, with that, with that. So let's just, bad news first, and then we'll jump to good news. So, Ronnie, anybody else could jump in, to be honest.
For me, like I said, I was coming there on the heels of the pandemic. My only issue I found was that I think the church took too long to realize that I was there.
Okay.
I remember, there were just a few students who were there as Adventists, and I don't think Atphil had started back as yet. And I remember, because I was the hall chairperson at Sal Hall, I could not have been vying for president of Atphil or anything of the sort, because it would have overlapped.
Yeah.
And I remember coming to the church like 2 to 3 Sabbaths on a straight, and I think the first time, just a mere acknowledgement that is there anybody visiting, and yeah, welcome, whatever, and that was it. And then I think I spoke about it to Jem or Kristen, somebody I mentioned it to, and then after that things changed. So when students were given package and so on, like welcome package and so on, and they welcome us, I was already there like 2-3 weeks before. So I think the whole idea of staying too long to realize that I was actually coming to the church, that was my biggest problem. But then again, the thing for that, was that people were now coming back from COVID. Everybody was just online church, and so it would take a while to, well, maybe I should say, reintegrate into what was the old norm.
Yeah.
So even me, like speaking to you here, this during my time, my course of study, this was normal. I was looking at the screen for 2 whole years. But then when I got there in person, everybody was like still kind of, I guess, iffy about shaking your hand or whatever the case may be. So I think that contributed to it a lot. But after that first session and so on, things changed, and I quickly became a part of Good News, and Kristen, of course, ensured that happened. So I'm hearing Kristen all the time in everybody else's experience. So let me just take this opportunity to acknowledge that he's a Vincentian, and not only he's a Vincentian, he's a Leeward man from Leeward too. So Alanson, yeah, we good like that.
All right. Big up, Kristen. Big up the Vinci Massive. Shanna or Lanson, anything you guys observe at your time, or?
Okay, well, I guess I could go, because based on, I wasn't hearing the question so clearly, but based on the responses so far, it sounds as if what was an issue at Good News during our time or at some point.
Yeah, or what area you felt like we could have improved on or gotten better at.
That could be improved upon.
Yeah, during your time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so music was always on point, right? Like praise and worship, always on point, always. So you're sure to get good worship, praise and worship. However, following praise and worship for the word during my period, or some points during it was like sermons sometimes were a hit or miss. I remember there was someone who preached a sermon, and it was about comparing females to poisonous frogs. I don't know if anyone remembers that sermon, but it was hilarious, right? I still remember because it was hilarious. So praise and worship was always on point. Sometimes the spoken word is sometimes like a hit or miss, but in everything in time the word is given. Try to, as Jamaicans would say, pick sense out of nonsense. right? Or try to gain something personally. So I would say that bit could have been improved, but Ella Sylvester's Bible class, that was awesome. So that covered the basics. So if a sermon didn't make you feel full or inspired, then there's Bible class after. You could get that feeling. So there was always a safety net in that sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice. All right, so we coming back to ask the thing you really enjoyed, right? So just
What did I?
the thing that you really enjoyed, but we'll come back
That
to
I
you.
really enjoyed.
But we'll come back to you. We'll come back to you and
Okay.
ask you that one. So let's jump to Alanson if he has anything.
I don't really have anything that stood out to me as something that could be improved upon while I was there. I mean, I don't know if it's slipped my memory now because it's been a while. But there's nothing that stood out to me so strongly in such a negative way that 11 years after I still have it on my mind. So
That's good.
yeah.
That's good. All right. So tell me. Let me.
So I
jump to you
didn't
one
experience what Ronnie experienced, and for most of my time, the word was very powerful and strong because of guess who we had there, and we also had the Bible studies from Elder Sylvester. So I can't complain about any of those things.
So in your experience, and everybody, what was something what you really enjoyed about your time at Good News? Now, I have a slight feeling I could probably guess two of the things you're gonna say. You're gonna mention food, being fed, and music, right? I don't know if but y'all could say it. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what things you enjoyed on your time at Good News?
For me, the music, and the food. I also enjoyed Jem's youth class.
Okay.
That
Jembule.
youth class with Jem, Dr. Arlette, Elder Chrysostom, and the choir. You know, the people, they were the most outstanding thing in my mind. People were so friendly, and I'm calling all these names. There are other names and so on that I know. You know, Jem's mommy, Sister B. I would call her Sister B. Auntie Vero. Auntie Vero. And the whole family. Yes. These people, they were so remarkable. They went above and beyond. You know, but for me, the praise team, every time I hear I heard the praise team, it was like, yeah. I remember the very first couple Sabbaths when I was there, I was looking at the praise team like, wow, these people, they're serious about the business, and singing is a passion for me, you know. So when I saw them, I was like, yeah, yep, that's it. You know, so that apart from the food every Sabbath after and the music, you know, the people, the warmth of the people at Good News, you know, that was what really stood out to me.
All right.
Oh, and this Elder St. Bryce, yes. You know, and taking us on the tour into the boat side through the Pitch Lake. Yeah, and I mean, so many posters. You and yeah. Oh, by the way, you still owe me some videos, some recordings. I give you my email address.
No problem. This is my up. Oh, by the way, so Elder St. Bryce now is Pastor St. Bryce. Is
okay.
Yeah, so when he come back, he's
congratulations to him.
Yeah, well, step up.
Yes.
Anybody else? Things you really enjoyed?
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, ladies first. Go ahead, Sean.
Oh, thank you.
Gentlemen.
So for me, one of the biggest things that I love about Good News is the people and the warmth that I feel, and I continue to feel even now because there are persons that I'm still in touch with and stuff. But one of the things that really showed the love and appreciation was when there was a benefit concert for to fund my research trip, without which I would not have completed, like my PhD and stuff. And Good News like rallied along with Advent Fellowship people. So for me, I think the thing that I love the most about Good News is the people, for sure.
Hi everyone. So when Rick sent me this request, he sent an did that word option with like 3 options, but I'm going to be enough and I'm going to answer all 3 options. So something I miss about GNC is the sense of community that the small church had. I miss the lifelong friends that I made there, even though we go very long periods of time without actually talking to each other. I think we can all agree that that's just adult life. And I miss the routine of spending an entire Sabbath day at church. So I would wake up, I would make it in time for Amari's Sabbath school class, and of course we'd have all the Sabbath school classes competing and talking at the same time. We'd have our announcements, we'd have praise and worship, which would always be my favorite part of the service. And then after the actual service, we would have lunch, and all the students would line up their chairs against the church, and we would have some random discussion about some Bible topic. After that, we'd have Bible study, and then we'd have AY. And I would just actually enjoy spending the entire day at church. So those days contributed a whole lot to my spiritual development and my social development as well, so I can't thank GNC enough for that. My fondest memory of GNC, I would have to say, is my camping experience, because that was an experience. And I remember having to do a presentation that was representative of our church, and we decided to do a rendition of One Love by Bob Marley. And we also got a member of the congregation to run around the basketball court with a torch like the Olympics. And he looked like he was enjoying it so much that we were just like, yo, just do another lap. And he did, and it was just amazing. It was classic. And so as I wrap this up, I just want to wish GNC another 30 plus years of being the close-knit church community that you are. And I wish that you will continue to be a place where students from all over the world can come and find a church home like I did. So I just want to wish you all the very best, and lots of love and God's richest blessings. Bye.
All right, Luther or Alonso, what you enjoyed?
I mean, I have to concur with a lot of what has been said there. I mean, I was playing there, so it gave me, like, playing at Good News did allow me to improve, like, my playing a lot. Actually bought new gear while I was in Trinidad for that purpose. Yeah. I like the discussions, that the fact that we had lunch there. We could sit down and discuss some really fruitful discussions afterwards, concerning Christian living and doctrine and such. Although I became known as somebody who was very contentious and started up a lot of things, to the extent that at one point in time your eldest brother called me aside and talked about the way I think I made him uncomfortable one time. But that was good. All that was really good. What else? There's something that was really important. Sometimes it's the little quirks and the interesting characters that I made there as well was nice. For example, I don't know if Hamdelton is around, but it was really funny. Hamdelton would always bring and I realized there was a very nice culture there where people bring whatever resources they have to the church in terms of equipment and stuff. Hamdelton would bring his keyboards in the night, and he'll be practicing with you until 9 o'clock. And then the next morning he would leave his keyboard there and just not be there. Because it's not something that was bad, right? It was just one of the cooks. It was just like entertaining to me. Like, after he spent all of this time making sure that we had the set right and everything, making sure like it would go well, making sure that we have the chords right and everything works well. As if he was so tired the next morning that he couldn't make it. So I don't know if he's around listening to this, but that was just something I found it really amusing. I laugh about it every now and then.
Well, I can speak for Hamdelton. He has since improved tremendously. Recently, we started doing something in the praise team where we actually have Sabbath morning rehearsal. So you kind of have to be here at 7:30 and shoot starts at 10. So he has been, he's the current music director, so he kind of had to step up his game. So he's been here, man. He's been here. So
So where's Kristen?
Kristen is Kristen is at everything, man. I don't think this year he's at everything, man. No specific role, Mr. Everything. Yeah, so he has since improved on that on that little quirk. All right. I think Alanson could jump in.
Okay, yeah. Well, for me, I mean, people mentioned the music, people mentioned food. For me, the food was very important when I was on hall, but once I moved off and started living with a few other people, we'll get together and we'll cook. So I wouldn't always eat at Good News, but I still would stay sometimes just because of the discussions, as Luther mentioned. But something that stood out to me even now is Wednesday night Bible study and testimony. I would not miss Wednesday night Bible study and testimony while I was there. It was very important to me to be spiritually grounded while I was there. And the interactions and the testimonies were very important in keeping that flame bright. So for me, that was something that stood out. And I remember fondly, even now, even beyond the music, which I was a part of. But I do remember the Wednesday night Bible study very fondly. The discussions during lunchtime, I mean, I would say that probably I was somebody who spoke with everybody, I think, and was interacting with everybody. And when I say everybody, I mean not just the youth, but even some of those who were among the older generations. So I did make a lot of friends at Good News while I was there. So I definitely know a lot of people at Good News. So I know if I go there now, it will be a little bit strange because, of course, the younger ones, there's always a turnover. But I know for sure the adults, I'll be happy to see them. So I would say the friendliness of the people, everybody was quite welcoming, and even persons who did not seem to be naturally bubbly or probably the most amenable persons that you would meet. They still were quite welcoming at Good News. So I think that whole atmosphere was very important. But for me, the number one thing is definitely the Wednesday night prayer meeting and testimonies.
All right, the value of prayer. So you've heard Luther, hand up.
Yeah, there's something I had forgotten. The way you used to do AY, like your AY programs, they became like a sort of benchmark and a model for the way I did my programs when I went home. Yeah.
Impressive.
So like because it's such a young church, there's a lot of innovation that was going on there. So some of the ideas and approaches to formulating these programs I borrowed from you. And I found a lot of validation in the way of doing it because of the way you guys would do stuff. And there was, what's his name? Omari. Omari's sermons. Like his sermons were really good. He didn't do the standard shouting and that type of stuff, but he was somebody you could sit there and just listen to. And I again, his method as well. And I've told him that like it was a sort of inspiration for me as well, that it's okay not to be that sort of shouty type of person and not be stuck on the same verse for like 20 minutes. Omari has something like you sat down, it was interesting, he had a beginning, a middle, he developed his ideas properly, he took his time, he didn't shout, and that was very important to me, and that became integrated in what I did going forward. So in a way, I went to university in Trinidad, but I also learned so much from just the fact that there were so many varied ideas in there, and people were allowed to express themselves in such a way that it carried forward leaving Trinidad.
All right, that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so we just have two more.
Just before you move on again,
Go on.
Rickland, I just have something to share quickly as well. And I'm going back now to the music and my own personal experience there. I remember when I got to Trinidad, your brother, Rudel, well, the Skivos group, they were the ones who were the musicians, along with Kristen. And I remember where they were in terms of their musical journey when I just got there in 2010. So what gave me great pleasure is where I left them when I left. So I derived a lot of pleasure from that, because where they were in 2010 compared to where they were in 2013, it was a massive difference. And I'm glad that I had a role to play in that. So that's something that gave me great joy as well when I was leaving.
Oh, that's nice.
Well, Alanson, if you would have seen them in 2023, then you would have said, "Wow, them did them."
No, yeah. I hear them still.
Yeah, but for me as well, Rickland, the discipline of the people who were involved. I remember wondering how these people, because as a student, you're in hall, and by the time you get to church on Sabbath, so many things were happening in Good News at the same time. And I used to wonder, like, how these people are finding time to do all of this, all the graphics, all the designing thing, and the video. Do you people like do other work outside of just coming to church? And everybody is like, Sister Yolanda, and listen to me, I don't know, like, we would come to practice on Friday night and meet the hall, the church now. Oh, by the way, you guys, I was there to see the opening of the new church. So all these experiences that you all are sharing, I can't relate, but I could tell you all about the new church that I don't think anybody here has ever been to the new church. Have you?
No, I don't know about that. Where is it?
So it's at the Warren Street.
You know the address, eh? Good job.
Aye. Listen, my prayers went up in that building, okay, when we were raising funds and all of that, and I had the opportunity and the pleasure of making a pledge. So I helped build that. Yeah, so it was fun, and I used to wonder, like, do these people have another job? Because the amount of work, and the videography and so on and so forth, when you get there and you see the quality of work that is put in, and the masterpieces, yeah. That was really a wowing experience for me.
All right. So this is, I'll talk to Good News people right now. So this is an encouragement to you to continue doing what you're doing. Continue doing your best. Continue giving your best to the master, because you are having an impact on people, not just at present, but for future generations. It has an impact when they go back to their places, their countries. So keep on doing what you're doing. Good News people, keep on doing it. All right, our last question, last two questions. I don't know if you guys will have one of those. If you don't have, that's okay. But just what's your most memorable moment of your time at Good News? Like what like when you think of Good News, what that moment that stands out to you? Like, hey, that is it. And it could be well, it's best if it's positive, right? But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be. But so that moment that's most memorable to you. Or maybe I could expand the question. So a moment that's most memorable to you, or some people that have been really memorable to you, or have really kind of helped you, kind of left lasting impacts. I know people mention names. Christian is a name that will come up forever because he's Mr. Everybody. So you have Sister Vero. In the earlier days, you have Brother Sylvester, First Elders. You have so some of these people who would have had impacts or memorable experience, or both. This is a very wide question right now. Anybody could jump in.
I don't mind going first. So it's kind of difficult to say there's one specific memorable experience, but it's just how I felt going to Good News. There's a place that I felt accepted and safe, and even if the week has been horrible, there's a pit stop at the Wednesday night meeting to get you through the rest of the week. Or you can be sure to get some hugs and a few chups, on Sabbath and stuff. So it's just how it felt. Like I can't pick one specific thing that is most memorable, because everything is just like a collage, like in my mind. And the other thing as well, if I were to choose if I were to choose something, I would go back to the benefit concert. I would go back to the projects at Advent Fellowship we're able to do, like with the farmer community, to provide food and clothing. And I think we even had dental care from Prelois, right?
Fully
So
white.
just support, right, from the church and stuff for different projects, and even personally for my own development. I'm who I am because of Good News. And I was shying away from calling names because I'm sure I'm going to forget some people, but so they're lifelong friends, Del, Julissa, Tiffany and others, right? Omari, in terms of sermons, as Luther was saying, Omari and Rondell, and our elders, at Good News, Ella Sylvester and Brother Clemente Prince, right? Brother Princey. He was the other controversial figure, Luther, so he had company. That man just said what needed to be said, and you take it how you want to take it. There are a bunch. I could call names. I think I said it earlier, but there are a bunch of people that have been very impactful. And if somehow I forgot a name or something, it doesn't mean that you don't matter, because again, like just getting through that period. You see, when you're away, you don't have a 1 hour trip back home to see your family, and you're across thousands of whatever miles or whatever you're not home. It's a beautiful thing to have a home away from home, right? I can't express fully how much that means. So that's that would be my nutshell in terms of most memorable. And if I've forgotten a name, people, please forgive me, right? Please forgive me. It's just a lot of thoughts and ideas rolling in at once. But if at any point you're a Good News, trust me, you matter greatly to me because you're a part of that story. Right.
All right.
I can answer. I can respond unconventionally, Rickland, if I may. By saying, because I don't want to call any names, in addition to the names that I've already called, and apart from Orlean and so on. But let me just ask, all those persons who were coming to Good News when I was there, could you just raise your hands, please? And I'll ask Rickland if you did raise your hand. Yes, so all those persons whose hands went up, those are the people I remember. Yeah, I mean, there are so many names, and as a teacher, I'm not good with names. Yeah, I'm not good with names. So the fact that I called some names earlier, that shows a lot. I mean, that's how these people were so impressive. But what I remember most of all is that what's the ministry called again? The something ministry for the students.
PCM, Public Campus.
Yes, that the PCM. I got to tour Trinidad twice through the efforts of Pastor St. Bryce. Now, I remember him coming in, and his wife used to send messages to say hello and so on, and send me some nuts and so on for me to eat while we went on the trip at one time. Yes, I would not forget harassing Jim in a good way, provoking Jim. I would call Jim mommy, and she was like, listen, you and Yannick, I don't have any child like that. I mean, it was so much fun. Sister Alicia in the back there. Yeah, I mean, everybody. I'm remembering her, and it's like, so it's nice. No one specific memory per se, except for the fact that I got to tour Trinidad through PCM, and I remember people messaging me back home and telling me they were learning through my status vicariously. So that gave me courage and motivation. So now I could talk about Warren Street. I know how to get to the Bird Sanctuary, and I know so many things. I know my way around.
You know to get to the Bird Sanctuary, Ronnie.
Yes, just ask Pastor St. Bryce.
Okay. I'm just gonna call somebody here. Tell me if you guys remember this face. He was a really small face when he was here. You guys remember this face?
Yes, that's his son. Alice's son.
Yeah, he's become slightly older now.
What's his name again?
Asa.
Asa.
Yeah, so he's working.
Yeah, but I have friends, I have him on WhatsApp.
No, actually, when I was there, he was very young.
Yeah, he was a
I
tiny.
second that.
Alright, so he says,
But his face is still the same face. no?
yeah, same face. These guys. So he's grown up. He's has some bush on his face now. So he says, run it. I thought it'd be nice just to show you guys. So Alanson or Luther, if you have any responses to this question, no pressure.
There was. I'm not sure if I should give you all of them. There's a lot of.
Okay, give me one.
I'll try to give. There was. Do you remember the time when that theology student came to preach? Okay, all right, he remembers. And half the church was just outside, and that was a really weird experience. But another experience I had was when we went to right. When we went visiting the hospital, and I remember there was a certain patient who wanted prayers, and we were about to pray for her, but then she just happened to be Jehovah's Witness, and somebody else came and told us that she does not need any prayers. That kind of shook me, like, as it taught me something. Like when I tell you about learning about religion and how it works, it taught me something about how our belief systems can stop other people from receiving blessings, and it made me think a lot. I remember that week though, that after I had done that, the week that followed was the worst week I ever had in Trinidad. And that's how I knew like I'd done something good, because when you do good things, the devil have to take they have to give you something else as payback. But still, I wouldn't give up that experience, because some of these are like they become core memories and core points of my spiritual development as a person, and it was facilitated by the church.
Okay, that's good.
Excellent. I like the examples, and that one from Luther. I mean, I could use those to say that those are my moments, but they wouldn't stand out to me in terms of visitation and so on, because I think for me, I was highly involved in that prior to. So those were more of the same things that were happening prior to Trinidad. So going on the visitations with Advent Fellowship or with Good News. Whether we went to the hospital or we went to some other location, those were good experiences, yes. But in terms of what stood out specifically for me, I would not necessarily put a finger on one thing now, because of course, it's a long time ago. But I think what I remember clearly is when I was leaving. So I left, as I said, in March 2013, and we had a little departure type get together. So I remember the things that were said, and for me, they resonated with me. Because I didn't expect some of the things that were said to be said. And I took them with me even in my personal ministry from there on, because they encouraged me to keep at it, to keep my ministry going, both in terms of the music ministry, but leadership as well, and outreach, etc. Yeah, just those things are really what stood out to me. And I'm not going to put a finger, and I'm not going to call any names. I remember a lot of names, unlike Ronnie. I do remember names. But, and I can call several, but I won't, because I don't want to forget one among the many. But I do remember all the names. So if you're there and you see me, just touch base with me and we can have a conversation. If you're there from when I was there, we can have a conversation and just, reminisce about those times if you are so inclined.
All right.
So that's it for me.
All right, thank you. So I have one final question. The final question is kind of talking to those watching this at the moment? Like, if you have to give the members of Good News one message, what will you give to them? Message of encouragement, or what you may want to see Good News do or continue doing. So while you think about that answer, I want to tell you guys thanks. I would have. Now, Good News is 30. I also happen to be that same age. And my experience at Good News was always a student-heavy experience. So while Luther speaks about coming to Trinidad and having a learning experience at Good News, I think for me as well, having these so many different cultures, so many different accents, Jamaica, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Barbados, you're just hearing so much different songs in your head that and different people with different experiences of their churches. You studying this weird thing. I always wonder, why is Shanna studying chemistry like this? How you could study chemistry for so long in your life? Like, ooh, but you really get to encounter so many different people in their spaces, and I think it has helped me personally become a lot more. Is the term? Is the term a man of the world? I guess there's a term, like you have a much wider view of
ideal Caribbean citizen.
Yeah, like a Caribbean citizen without having left Trinidad. You basically had the Caribbean coming to you, and that for me has been really, really instrumental in shaping what I do, whether professionally or ministry wise, how we interact with people, because it's so many different characters come from so many different places with their skills, with their talents, but also with their baggages, with the strange things that they do, and you kind of have to learn how to almost persuade and become friends, and the consistent students turnover, you kind of have to you have to do it again. So Shanna comes, Shanna goes, and then Ronnie comes and Ronnie goes, and then I guess I could call Naquilla comes and Naquilla will go, and so these people just keep going, and you kind of have to learn, and it's so great because we now have a network of people all over the world, people in Canada, in St. Vincent, in St. Lucia. It's so great to know that you have people across the world, across the Caribbean, where you could reach out to. And so I want to thank you guys, thanks, because you would have been instrumental in shaping who I am. And I'm pretty sure that's the case for a lot of other young people at Good News. And he wasn't doing anything. You didn't even have to do anything. But just your presence and your involvement and your contribution has helped Good News has helped me to be better, and has helped Good News to be a better place. And we want to tell you thanks. I don't know if anybody ever tell you thanks. They probably did. Most likely they did, right? But I don't think I ever told the four of you thanks. So I'm telling you thank you now for what you've contributed to our small little chapel on Warren Street. No, you would have and Ronnie could find it.
Not Dean Street.
Not Dean Street. Well, you contributed on Dean Street.
Warren.
All right, and I want to thank you guys so much for that.
To God be the glory.
Yeah, thank you a lot. So do you have any final parting? Let's not call it parting. Parting seems like a really kind of dark. Any words of encouragement you may want to share with our
For me, I'm grateful for the opportunity that I've gotten, and I want to say thank you as well for this moment, because I mean, as short as it is, it has forced us to relive our Good News experience, well, for me at least, to relive my Trinidad experience, my Good News experience, and I was just imagining myself there for another Sabbath and so on and so forth. So I want to say thanks for that. I would say to the brethren at Good News Church that, continue to be faithful, continue doing what you're doing, because I mean, I've heard before and I'm hearing today again, how instrumental the congregation would have been for many students, helping persons to complete their degree in terms of feeding people, providing for people, so I want to tell the church to continue doing that. If I may, I would also want to say to the students who are worshiping at Good News, don't be too shy to participate. Don't be too shy to volunteer, because I mean, each one would reach one, and you never know what your little bit is doing to influence or to inspire or to motivate and encourage somebody. But see your contribution as you making your contribution in heaven, and when you look at things that way, then it would be easier for you to volunteer. It would be easy for you to get involved and to be a part of the bigger picture, knowing that we're working towards our eternal crown.
All right. Thank you.
Solid. My advice would be, and again, I sit here as someone who now has a lot of lifelong friends who I did meet at Good News, and be it those who are in Advent Fellowship or those who are attending Good News at the time, who, obviously we have struck strong bonds and formed them and have maintained them. I would say to people who are there, and I speak firstly to the students, do not take the experience for granted. You heard Ronnie mentioned things, and also Luther, about how they picked things up from what was happening there. Be it the way that the music and the praise team, they were organized and were dedicated, or Luther, the way that the programs went, or even the sermons were delivered. And big up Omari one time, that's my good brother there. Yeah, so those are some things that you should always take in. Don't just be there, but actually be in the moment and take in the information, take in the approaches, see what you can pick up, feel through it, sift it, and separate the wheat from the chaff and take that which is needful. So that's number one. Number two, enjoy yourself. You're young. I'm talking to the students. You're young. Enjoy yourself. But and of course you would meet people who, in some cases, one or two of them may meet persons there who would end up being their spouses. So of course, but one of the things I want you to remember, if you're a student there now, is do not neglect the spiritual aspect, because no matter how good the music is, no matter how good the singing is, no matter how good the food is or the friendship is, it won't be worth anything if we are lost. So that's very important. For the membership at large at Good News, I would say keep your perspective in mind and the context of Good News. It's a student church. So because it's a student church, you have to always kind of bear that in mind. So things may run a little bit differently. Your focus may be a bit different than any other church who doesn't have such a large transient student membership. So we'll always bear that in mind and be sure to use the time that you have with each student in such a way that it will leave a lasting impact, a lasting positive impact for the kingdom of God in each student's life. Because that 1 year, it was 1 year for Ronnie, it may be 2 years and a bit for somebody like me who was moving on to other things. It might be 7 years for Shanake. That period that they have there with you, it's a very important time in an individual's life. For most people who are students, it will be a time when you're quite young and you're transitioning to different periods of your life. And that guidance, that fellowship, that sound, the biblical footing will become very important in terms of your trajectory from that point on. So just keep doing that and bear that in mind in terms of your role in ministry. That would be what I would say.
All right. Sound advice, sound counsel.
All right. Well, for me, like a lot of what I would say has been echoed by Alumni and Ronnie. I just want to underscore something and then maybe use the rest of my response reading something that I not long, don't worry, Rickon. Something that I it's very impactful to me, so I thought it'd be just to share a bit of it. The first thing I want to share is to students, just remember that, as Alanson and Ronnie would have mentioned, that use your time wisely while you're there. Recognize that you're there to form, a deeper walk with God as well. And also recognize that God is retrofitting you, because getting a degree is not it. Getting a job and getting money is not it. He's empowering you, educating you, retrofitting you, that he can strategically place you where you need to be. So always keep the bigger picture in mind. The other thing I wanted just to read pretty quickly is this thing. It's in a book by Barry Black called From the Hood to the Hill, and it's a prayer, right? I'm going to just do it pretty quickly, probably 2 minutes or less. It says, and it's a message to the church about their unique challenges that Good News would have because it's a transient membership. You have somebody for 2 years or 1 year, and there are unique challenges that will be faced. There are some highs, there are some lows, but this is a prayer that I hope will be encouraging to you. So it says, disturb us, O Lord, when we are too well pleased with ourselves, when our dreams have come true because we have dreamed too little, when we have arrived safely because we sailed too close to the shore. Disturb us, O Lord, with the abundance of things we possess. We have lost our thirst for the waters of life. Having fallen in love with life, we have ceased to dream of eternity. And in our efforts to build a new earth, we have allowed our vision of the new heaven to grow dim. And I'm going to skip a stanza and just go to the last part. It says, we ask you to push back the horizons of our hope and to push into the future in strength, courage, and hope. So like that is my prayer, like to Good News. There are so many possibilities, and I pray that you'll always keep pushing and just keep striving, because God has placed you as a beacon, like for me, I keep saying safe place, but just a light for students who otherwise would have been lost, being far away from home. Like you're there to keep them grounded, to continue to dream big and challenge yourselves, continue to challenge yourself. And I pray that God will tremendously bless you.
Okay. That's beautiful. One question, Shana, when you were here, you were planning to do an audio book of Mere Christianity. Did you ever do it?
Oh no, I did not, because it was done already, I think. So I'm
okay. That just came back to mind, you know. It's like, hey.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Luther?
Yeah, I just wanted to leave like the church with this text. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Now I understand, in like we said, it's a transient membership, and it's very likely that you have students who probably do not pay tithe to the church. I know that there are other priorities in running a church institution. Like you need, there are other priorities, but at all points in time, you must remember that the purpose of the church is to make citizens of heaven. So even though it will cost to feed all of these students who probably don't bring or contribute, just remember your investment is not so much a monetary investment you're making an investment for the world to come, because I'm sure, like Shana said, there are a lot of students who might have strayed away from the Lord if it wasn't for the fact that there was a university, a church so close to the university. So at no point in time must the church lose sight of the wonderful blessing that it has been given in the situation, the place where it is situated. I was concerned that they were going to move the church too far away from UE when they said they were building a new church. I'm so happy that it's just on Warren Street. So there's that. My recommendation to students, however, is while you find yourself away from home and you are not probably under the direct supervision of your parents or whoever your mentors would be, take the time to know your Savior a lot better. You are alone in terms of spiritual, like you have no human spiritual guides. You might not have as much. The people here, you might not feel as accountable to them since you are in a different country. But try to make yourself, or rather, make yourself more accountable to God while you are here. You have been given an opportunity. You've been given life. You've been given all of these blessings. make the most out of it, and wherever you go, make sure that God is leading you. That's what I like to do.
That was a compilation of all beautiful things. This has been a really great experience. I have missed seeing you guys around. Now I don't think if all the students come back, we'll be able to accommodate them. Well, Ronnie will know. I don't think we'll actually be able to accommodate you, but it will be so great to have such a reunion. But we pray and we trust that on those streets of gold, you'll be able to sit down. And we have a massive band. We have a Lanson, we have Luther, we have a man like Sonali who was here too, Hamdelton, Kriston. We're gonna have 5 drummers. Yeah, I can't wait for us to have. I feel like God will say, hey.
It won't be long. It won't be long.
Yeah, I think God was like, hey, I built a nice special good news mansion, and I want all you to lead. This hour, and we have a praise team with Shanna. It's gonna be a grand old time, man. It's gonna be a grand old time. So we pray that we all make it there together, so that we could share some of those experiences, and even more experiences for eternity and eternity. We have a little token for you guys, but we'll talk to you kind of offline, just to tell you thank you for participating in this. So to the good news people who are watching online, we thank you for tuning in to our alumni night. Now this just represents a little snippet of the students who have passed through good news, but I feel like their experiences are shared with all the other students that would have passed through good news. Different little nuances here and there, but generally the same idea. So we pray that we continue being a church that is safe, but not just safe, but also challenges people to think beyond, to strive for better, and to be, as Luther described it, citizens of the kingdom, and people who act and behave as citizens of the kingdom, whether they find a wife and stay in Trinidad, or they go back home, or they marry and move to another country, right? Looking at some people. Shana, right? Right? So whatever circumstance, we pray that they continue to be citizens wherever they are. So thank you guys for tuning in. And remember, our week of celebration continues on Wednesday night with our day of prayer. We'll be praying from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the afternoon. So you could come to the chapel. We'll be praying here. We'll be also streaming online as well. So we hope to see you guys there. Should be a grand old time. And then Friday night, we have our family worship night. And on Saturday, our community open day. So we hope to see you guys on the next event of our Good News 30th anniversary celebration. All right, bye-bye for now.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for having us. All the best. Happy 30th to Good News.
Yeah, happy 30th to Good News. All the best. Bye-bye.
All right. Ole, don't go yet. Don't go yet. We just said bye to them. Don't go yet.
Oh.
Don't go yet.